And we're very glad to have Sacinandana Swami with us to speak about Bhadra Purnima, the special day, the special occasion that is so particularly auspicious in regards to gifting a Bhagavatam to someone. And I think we will be hearing about the Bhagavatam and the importance of Bhadra Purnima. And with that, I hand over to you, Sacinandana Swami. The virtual floor is yours. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, thank you. Thank you for your wonderful introduction. I greet everyone who's on this call affectionately from Radhadesh. We are here for a 4 or 5 days event where we give Bhagavatam classes, and in the evening we have really a very full house of devotees engaging in kirtan. As you all have heard, the 20th of September marks this year as the Bhadra Purnima day, a very special day for gifting the Bhagavatam. And I would like to speak a little bit about this event. I would like to give you a little background on the Bhagavatam, the message of the Bhagavatam, and the proper procedure for making this gift. So let us all join, please, in the pranam prayers. Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prashtaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swami Nityanamine Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pacharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paskatyadi Satarine Jaya Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Yadvaita Gadapada Shivasati Gaur Bhaktavrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. We all have heard in the beginning of the Bhagavatam how Brahma received the Srimad Bhagavatam as a revelation in his heart. Tene Brahma Hridaya Adikavaye Mushanti Yatsurayaka. It means that in the beginning of creation, Brahma, the original poet, received the teachings of the Bhagavatam in his heart. It's very difficult for us in this world to imagine anything coming from outside of the world into the world. We hear in the scriptures that Mother Ganga comes from outside of the universe and was going through an opening in the universe that had been created by Lord Vamandev into this universe, and then came down, 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 until she came to the place in the Himalayas called Gangotri. And well, actually it's Akash, Ganga, then Gomukh, then Gangotri. We've heard how a total transcendental entity comes into this world and then becomes visible to us in this world. We can touch it, we can go to Mother Ganga, we can take our bath, we can get purified. Still, it remains difficult for us to understand how this spiritual substance of Ganga turned into H2O, a water element, which we can carry in a plastic bottle home to Europe and share with others. In the same way as it is difficult for us to understand the totally spiritual dimension of Ganga and how she transformed into a river, it is difficult for the conditioned mind to imagine how something utterly spiritual, something which is not from this world, really transformed into something like this, a book with paper, with letters on it, sentences that convey a certain content message. But just like the Ganga is in its essence totally spiritual, the Bhagavatam should be also understood as very transcendental. Obviously, the Bhagavatam has various levels. There's the book, its binding, the colorful illustrations in it, the Devanagari Sanskrit, the word by word translations and the purpose. That is what we can see. But the essence of Bhagavatam is it's not a book of this world like so many other books. It carries an entirely transcendental or spiritual message. It is totally beyond the things of this world. This is a very important truth to be kept in mind. When you are touching the Bhagavatam, you are touching transcendence. When you're reading the Bhagavatam, you are hearing the words of the Lord. When you are following the Bhagavatam, you are attaining a transcendental result, something extraordinary. Just like taking a bath in the Ganga is not like a bath in any other river. The immersion in the context or content of the Bhagavatam cannot be compared with that which happens in the book. And there are different results. In the Bhagavatam, in the first canto, it is said that when you read regularly the Bhagavatam, then Shoka Moha Payapaha, the limitations, the illusions, and the fears and insecurities in life go definitely away. This is not a result from any ordinary piece of literature. It is happening, this result is coming only when you read the Bhagavatam. But in order that the Bhagavatam displays its full power in the life of a devotee, there's a certain method how the Bhagavatam should be read. If you, in other words, want to also experience how your lamentations, your insecurities, and your illusions go away, you need to read and study the Bhagavatam in a certain way. Only then will the power of the Bhagavatam totally reveal itself. It's just like you wish, what would be a good example? If you wish to light a fire, you cannot have wet wood. You need to have dry wood. So if the Bhagavatam is going to show its power, you will have to be a little dry, so to say. You will have to follow a certain method. And this method is given in the second canto of the Bhagavatam. First is you should read it regularly. I think some of you have made the experience when you read one day the Bhagavatam, and then second day you don't read, the third day you don't read, a whole week passes where you don't read. Then if you again come back to the Bhagavatam, you don't really understand so much. And that is because in order for the Bhagavatam to show its transcendental potency, you have to do it regularly. You have to read it regularly. The next is you have to invest some faith, some shraddha. Even though this subject may be very much beyond your present comprehension, even though the Bhagavata may be just so, let me say, some of the things you read may be so extraordinary, so unheard of. It's good to invest a little faith that, yes, this could be possible. I remember Prabhupada once gave a Bhagavatam class from the fifth canto where he spoke of big eagles, much bigger than what we see in this world, who have, where there's a distance between the wings, the edges of the wings of, I think he spoke of 20 meters, wow, really big eagles who fly from planet to planet. And sometimes they hatch their eggs while they fly. In other words, the eggs fall out of this huge eagle, and then by the friction with the atmosphere, the eggshell breaks, and then the young eagles start to fly. So Prabhupada was explaining this, and one devotee from Australia, he was, he was there in the lecture. The lecture was given in Australia. So one Australian devotee said, Prabhupada, it's very difficult to believe that there are such big eagles who fly from planet to planet, and then they hatch their eggs in the open sky or atmosphere. And Prabhupada said, hey, what do you know? You are still in the womb of your mother. Meaning that this devotee is certainly so still conditioned. So it is very important to understand. You should have some faith in the Bhagavatam. The subject matters, although they are beyond your present sensual perceptions, they are nevertheless true. I always like to give the example. Imagine an ant is crawling over the computer of our devotees who has moderated this program and who is organizing the technical aspects of this Zoom conference. And the little ant crawls over his computer, and our devotee would say, would you like to understand what we are doing here? the ant would not be able to really understand this because its capacities are merely strong enough to understand what is going on in an ant hill, but what is going on beyond the perceptions of the ants, it's just not possible. It's not possible. So, my dear devotees, an initial amount of shraddha, at least theoretical faith in the Bhagavatam, is very good. So we have now two methods. One is to hear the Bhagavatam regularly. Bhadra Purana says, even if you can only hear half a syllable of the Bhagavatam a day, you should regularly do this Bhagavatam reading. If you do this, your place where you live becomes a place of pilgrimage. You should invest your faith. And the third rule to make Bhagavatam happen is very simple. You should, how do you say this in proper English? You should just very simple uh, uh, do an effort. What is the effort? Which helps you to understand the Bhagavata. You should read it with full concentration. Only if you read it with concentration will the Bhagavatam subject matter become clear to you. Now it's not so easily to concentrate. It's not so easy to concentrate when the mind is not pure. And the mind is not pure if we are not acting purely in our life in terms of eating. Food is impure. Eating and following the four regulated principles is necessary. That the mind is pure, and then when the mind is pure, it is possible to concentrate very easy. So this effort needs to be made to very regularly read the Bhagavatam, to invest some faith, and to make the effort to concentrate and also purify your life so that it's easier for you to concentrate on transcendental subject matters. But if you do this, then the Bhagavatam can manifest its extraordinary potency in your life. It is not difficult for the Bhagavatam. It is as easy for the Bhagavatam as it is for the sun to light up the day. In fact, there is a verse in the Bhagavatam. It comes in the third chapter of the first canto. And I think it's around 43 or so. Dharma, just now I don't remember the Sanskrit, but it says that in this age of Kali, when Krishna had left the planet, Dharma and knowledge, jnana, can be found in the pages of the Bhagavatam, which has risen just like the sun has risen to dispel the ignorance of material existence. Good. This is something about the Bhagavatam, how it is a transcendental literature which comes like Mother Ganga from another dimension to this world. We heard what is the effect of taking a bath in the Bhagavatam. The effect, as you have heard, is you become free from limitation, from illusion, from fears. And there is also a certain method to read the Bhagavatam. And at that time, the Bhagavatam is very, very merciful. It reveals to you everything you need to know. There is a very, very nice work. It comes from the Bhadra Purana. It is called the Bhagavata Mahatmyam. It's a little book which describes through various stories the glories of hearing the Srimad Bhagavatam. And I would like to tell you one of these stories because it has a very important instruction on how else we should read the Bhagavatam. In fact, it has the most important instruction. Well, there was once a Brahmana, his name was Atmadeva, who was a very great devotee of Krishna. He was married and he had two sons, a very saintly son, uh, uh, whose name was Gokana, and a very, very rascal-like son, whose name was Dundukari. Gokana, the pious son, did not appreciate the house, the atmosphere in the house, because his brother Dundukari was just so obnoxious and just so bad. After some time, Atmadev, in great frustration, would left also the house, because Dundukari would go bring prostitutes into the house. He would constantly be drunk. He would terrorize his father and his mother. So one day, Atmadev just went into the forest and never returned. The next morning, my dear devotees, Dundukari attacked his mother. He took the golden rings from her feet and then threw her into a well where she gave up his life. Dundukari now was alone and he had the gold of his mother. So he sold it and spent all the wealth of the family on prostitutions and alcohol. He became so sinful, my dear devotees, that even the prostitutes thought this is too much. When the king's men come here and see what this Dundukari does, the king's men will imprison all of us. So one day they bound Dundukari on his bed while he was sleeping, and then they murdered him by pushing a burning log of wood into his open mouth, and in this way gave him the most painful death. As a result of this violent death, people who undergo violent death, they become a ghost. So Dundukari also became a ghost. Now, when his brother Gokana heard that his father had left the house, his mother had been was dead, and his brother had been killed in such a way, he came back to the home, and he spent the night in the house of his family. And late at night, he heard noises in the house, and when he looked, he saw his brother Dundukari in the shape of a ghost. He was sometimes looking like the devil, then he looked like a ram, that's the male sheep, and he was constantly changing his forms. So Gokana said, who are you? And finally, this ghost said, I'm your brother, Dundukari. I'm suffering as a result of my highly sinful activities. Can you please save me? The Dundukari, Gokana, he thought about something to save him, and finally, he got the idea. He said, yes, I will read the Bhagavatam. For 7 days, I will read the entire Bhagavatam from beginning to the end. And this will save you. You should be there and just try to listen. So Dundukari, in the body of a ghost, came to the place where the Bhagavatam was recited by his brother. He stayed in some bamboo stick, and he heard each day the recitation of the Bhagavatam. The entire village also participated. At the end, when the last verse of the 12th chapter was reached, a transcendental airplane came from the spiritual sky, and in the airplane, transcendental airplane, were 4 Vishnu Dutas. They went to this poor sinner, Dundukari. They touched him with their conchal on the head. And Dundukari, who was really a hopeless ghost, he achieved the body of an associate of Vishnu. He had a bluish complexion, a nice garland of lotus flower around him, beautiful, wide open eyes, and so everyone looked at this airplane. They looked how Dundukari, now in the spiritual body, went on top of the airplane, and they all shouted, "No!" Why did they shout no? They argued. We were also listening to the Bhagavatam for 7 days, but the Vishnu Dutas only take one. They should take all of us, the entire village, because we did the exact same listening to the Bhagavatam. And then, so when the Vishnu Dutas heard this, they said, yes, you were listening, and Dundukari was listening. Both were hearing the exact same subject. But Dundukari's hearing was different from your hearing. Dundukari, because he was a sinner, and his only hope was in hearing this Bhagavatam, listened with rapt attention, with total 100% attention. Whereas you did not pay so much attention because you were not in the same situation like him. Only if one listens with full attention to the recitation of the Bhagavatam is there any benefit. I think you all know this. Most of you read the Bhagavatam, but on some days, due to various circumstances, it may not be so easy for you to be attentive. And when you are asked after you have read the Bhagavatam that day, what precisely you have remember, you're very honest, you do not remember many things because the attention was not there. So from all what we have heard about listening to the Bhagavatam or hearing the Bhagavatam, this point, listening with rapt attention is the most important, the most vital, the most essential. So therefore, when you read the Bhagavatam, my recommendation is create a disturbance-free time where you know you will not be interrupted, and then read maybe for half an hour or so, and do this in a regular fashion, and you will see miracles unfolding. I want to now, just at the end, say what is the main message of the Bhagavatam. In the last chapter, it's the 13th chapter of this great work, there is a summary about the Bhagavatam, and it says what are its main messages. From the beginning to the end, the Bhagavatam is full of narrations that encourage renunciation of material life. And there are also nectarian accounts of Lord Hari's transcendental pastimes, which give ecstasy to the saintly devotees and the devatas. Now, so two subjects are there, two messages. One is renounce this miserable material life. We hear stories of King Pururava, great king, for instance, who was very, very attached to uh, sensual pleasures with Urvashi. And we heard how all this brought so much suffering to him. But only when he was finally able to renounce this was he able to find fulfillment. In the same way, great kings like Dhritarashtra, Parikshit Maharaj, um, mm, Prithu, Rurava, so many, you will find that they all renounce the material life after they have done their duties, and they go to the forest to do what? Yes, to dedicate their time exclusively to hearing about the pastimes of Krishna. Today I spoke to a very unusual guest. He is the bodyguard to the Spanish queen. I think Spain is also a democracy, but still they keep the old royalty, just like also in England, it's practically ruled by the parliament, but we have the Queen and the Prince Charles. No? So here I was talking to one of the bodyguards of the Queen. You can see his picture with a big head made from the fur of a bear, very strong man, bodyguard of the Queen. And he asked me a question. He said, what is my purpose in life? And I was talking to him about Dharma, how to find one's Dharma. And I told him, in order to find out what is your Dharma, it might be good if you push your life or push the pause button in your life. Pause for 6 months and come and practice spiritual life in a temple here in Radhadesh. Listen to the lectures, hear the chant, the mantra, and you will see after some time how the mirror of your consciousness gets purified. You will be able to see your duty and your dharma and your purpose very clearly. Pause your life. Push on the pause button. Pause. But my dear devotees, that's not all. Pausing is one thing, but you need to put something into the pause. No? So I told also this bodyguard, you pause your life, and into the pause you put a serious spiritual practice and serious reading of the Bible and chanting of the holy name. And then your consciousness will be clear. Just by pausing, nothing happens. But by making a pause and creating the space or the room for spiritual life, something very nice. So this is what the Bhagavatam is about. It's about renouncing the material life, and on the second, on the other hand, hearing about the transcendental subject matters of Lord Hari, the nectarian Krishna Katha. One devotee here, I can see Krishna Katha. No? So that is very reminding us of filling our heart with Krishna. These are the two messages of the Bhagavatam. Renounce material life and fill the open space with Krishna. Now, I would like to come to the conclusion of this. It is about the proper method of giving the Bhagavatam as a gift and the glorious results of such a gift giving. It is there in the 12th canto, chapter 13, text 13. I will chant it in Sanskrit for your pleasure. Proshta papadyam punam masyam hema singha hema singha samanvitam dadati yo bhagavatam sojati paramangatim. If on the full moon day of the month of Bhadra, you remember, 20th of September this year, if on this full moon day one places Srimad Bhagavatam on a golden throne and gives it as a gift, you will attain the supreme transcendental destination. So the method is you must take a golden throne and put the Bhagavatam on it. This means that you respect the Bhagavatam as the king of all scriptures, just like the king will sit on a throne, preferably a golden throne. The Bhagavatam has to be placed on the golden throne. My dear devotees, I know most of us are poor and cannot afford a golden throne. And we think, oh no, this is totally impractical. If you don't have such a thing, they are available in what is this called? Amazon. I have ordered from Amazon a small golden throne. You can also make a photocopy of a golden throne and put the Bhagavatam there. The idea is really to respect it, no? To respect it and give it full respect. So if you have to pay a golden throne, my God, then you have no money left for your bread and butter. So that will not be good. If you have no golden throne, no problem. Do it and put the Bhagavatam in great honor and respect. That's the idea. And then what do you do? Let me see how this continues. And give it to someone as a gift. You can give it to another devotee. You can give it to someone who's very interested in Krishna consciousness. Or what you could also do is you could give it and place it into the local library, for instance. That is often done. You can say, this is a gift from our the educational branch of our Krishna consciousness movement, and so on. So then if you do this, you will attain the supreme transcendental destination. Yeah. Yes. Our Lekha Shravanti and Jaini Tai have informed us the supreme transcendental destination is Goloka Vrindavan. So in this way, your life is successful. I have given already a few sets away on Bhadra Purnima, but I'm also participating this year because I really think the nature of devotional service is you don't leave it with one devotional service. You want to give more devotional service. You give more benefit to others. So the way we have organized it here in Berlin is like this. you can place a phone call to the organizers of this Bhagavatam campaign, Jai Nitai, Leka Shravanti, and I think maybe Krishna Katha, Prabhu. I think Krishna Katha, you are the organizer, isn't it? You have at the moment the earphones on your ears. Is that you? No, someone else.
That is me. My name is Karuna Shaktidas, but I'm not organizing any giving away of Bhagavatams. I'm very glad to announce it, but I'm not organizing anything. You really have to ask Leka Shravanti and Jainitai. They will be organizing everything. And even if you don't have the full amount readily available, you can sponsor a bit, form a group, or you could even request to be gifted the Bhagavatam if you don't have it yourself.
So very nice. Karuna Shakti has informed us how it works. There are two options. You can sponsor the giving away of a Bhagavatam, which I said, which devotees will do for you. Or you could also raise your hand and say, I would like to have a Bhagavatam, and then you will get one of those sponsored Bhagavatam sets. And how to organize this, you can, the organizers of the campaign, Leka Shravanti and Jainitai. How will they know, Karuna Shakti Prabhu, the telephone number? Will you give the telephone number, or is it on a web page? Please say.
We have made an announcement on Facebook and also via email, and there is also the email address mentioned, so people can contact them via email, but I will also be posting it here in the chat box so people can write an email to their email address, and then you can communicate with them and go from there.
Wonderful. Well, thank you very much. Thank you very much. So then we have everything, and I really encourage you, please take part. If you don't have a Bhagavatam set, then you are a good person to start. Then you can give your good name, and I'm sure you will be getting a gift of the Bhagavatam set, the whole Bhagavatam set. I think charity should start at home. That is your own natures. Anyone who's here without a Bhagavatam set, that would be a good start. You can just give your names to Leka Shravanti.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji. I have one Bhagavatam I brought from Raman Rup Das Prabhuji, and I'm going to give to his son. He's visited here from Moscow, Russia to Berlin. He's already here.
Wonderful.
20th of September, I am going to give him present.
This is a very good. This is what your good name, please.
Mamta.
What Mamta just says is a very good way to do this. There's one.
My nephew, he is Raman Rup Das' son.
Acha, yes, I know Raman Rup ji. And Mamta will give him, he lives in Moscow, a whole set of the Bhagavatam.
Yeah, he is already here in Berlin now.
Yes, wonderful. Thank you, Mamta. So this is one example which we have heard how it is possible, and like I have said, there are many other things. But I really want to encourage you. This is a unique opportunity. It comes every year, of course, but why wait with something good? I think it should be done immediately. Good. Then I want to thank you very, very much. Let me give a very brief summary to all of you. We were hearing today about the glories of the Bhagavatam, how it is a transcendental Adhyatmic scripture, which comes like Mother Ganga from the spiritual world. We have heard how to read the Bhagavatam, the main subject was with full attention. So we need to create some good concentrated atmosphere at our home. And finally, we heard about the message of the Bhagavatam and how to give the Bhagavatam as a gift, so that we will be for sure going back home, back to this world of word, back to Goloka Vrindavan. Having said this, I will stop my kata and I will return the word to our Karuna Shakti Prabhu, who will close this session. I have spoken now enough. I was very happy to have you all as listeners. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, thank you very much, Maharaj, and thank you to all of you. And next week, we will have His Grace Vaisheshika Prabhu with us, who will be inspiring us about the Bhadra campaign and the giving away of the Bhagavatam. He will join us at 6:45 Central European Time. So now is 7:51, so in whichever time zone you are, so that you know, so that you have a reference point, now is 7:51. We will be starting next week at 6:45. So you can join us and hear from Vaisheshika Prabhu, who will speak about the Bhagavatam and the Bhadra campaign, about Bhadra Purnima. And as we have said, you can contact Lekha Shravanti and Jainitai via the email address in the chat box or the phone number, also on WhatsApp. And also there will be the price that we offer is a special price only for this campaign. And that is a unique opportunity to gift a Bhagavatam to others, or maybe to receive a Bhagavatam yourself. And I can see in the chat box that people are thanking you, Maharaj, Devangshi, Joy, Diksha Ahuja. Thank you very much for being with us, and we hope to see you again very soon. It was very nice that you took your time and gave us this very, very inspiring lecture. Thank you very much. Hare Krishna.